Hello, everyone. This is Mary Kurek with Frontrunners Innovate, and I have a gentleman with me who just wears so many hats, but I'm not going to get through them all. But he's our special guest, and this is Ambassador Dr.EnoPraise, and he is the chairman of Chesterbridge Group in Nigeria. And Chesterbridge is a strategic global consulting firm that works with branding and corporate training, some HR types of activities and tasks, innovation, strategy, and also works in trade environments. And some of those environments might be real estate, gas and oil, those sorts of things that the big dogs play in, we'll say. Those are the big pools where we like to see lots of good activity going on that benefits everyone. He's also the executive director of Leaders Without Borders. That sounds interesting. We're going to find out more about that. And sits on the advisory board of the Asia African Chamber of Commerce. So we'll be talking to him about his background and all these wonderful things that he's involved in, but also specifically about the Africa Dubai Investment Summit. And so he's going to tell us a little bit about that as well. So welcome after all that, Ambassador Praise.
Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you, Mary.
You're welcome. How in the world did you get into this type of work? Give us a little bit about your history, your background a bit.
All right. So it's a funny story. I like saying it's a funny story because
I like funny stories.
Yeah. I grew up, I was born and raised in the city of Lagos, Nigeria. And at the age of 15, I was already, I think at the age of 13, between 13 and 14, I was already out of the house. I lived under the bridge for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, most people don't know this story, but I lived under one of the most popular bridge in Lagos for 3 years.
Wow.
And at that point, I began to look at my life, began to think of my direction. I've always known that I was going to be great. I mean, no doubt about that, but growing into what I saw was more of a challenge. So I began to read, began to study, began to look for mentors across the world. And then a couple of years down the line, I met a couple of people that became mentors to me. One of them is Feladro Toye. Feladro Toye is one prominent man that I would never forget. Taught me a whole lot of things. Met other people, Steve Harris, Jimmy Tewe, Pastor Paul Adeforasi. I met Rod Parsley. I met Rod Parsley online. I mean, he was my pastor at the time. I was in Nigeria. He was in the US, but he was my pastor at the time. Listened to him and then connected. And then here we are, started building up initiatives to just help people get out of where they have been. So we had the Believe in Nigeria initiative. We have different initiatives at that point just to, to grow and also see people come out from mediocrity into the limelight. So I also had the Project I Change. And the Project I Change was just about me changing myself first, and then getting other people to change themselves in return. So it became a chain reaction initiative where I change first and then change my neighbor. My neighbor gets to change his or her neighbor, and then, and it spreads like that. And then we had Health with Central Africa. Health with Africa was a fashion brand for me. I love fashion, so I had to use that platform to help people on how to dress, how to get their wardrobe in check and all of that. But all of this was geared towards Chesterbridge. It was geared towards Chesterbridge because Chesterbridge is like the home for all. People usually ask me, what do you do? And I tell them I do a lot of things. But most importantly, I will always say this, with a personal approach and with a personable approach and personal inspiration, I help business professionals create executive presence, image, and style that helps them attract opportunities in 90 days or less. I also help corporations, individuals, and entrepreneurs with their customer experience, activation, workforce activation, image mastery, and personal branding. That is what I do right now. And that's what I do across all the platforms that I'm in.
Fantastic. What
I
a
hope that makes
story.
sense.
I have to ask you, just because it occurred to me. So the name of your business is Chesterbridge. That wasn't the bridge that you lived under, is it? That wasn't the name of the bridge, was it?
Ojuelegba Bridge.
Ah, gotcha.
Ojuelegba. Yeah, Ojuelegba.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So you can Google it up. You see pictures of how the bridge is. I mean, it could be neater right now, but back then it was not a place to write home about.
Yeah.
I mean, trust me, it was where you have hoodlums, everybody sleeping there from all across. I mean, to the extent that I had to, cook meals to sell under the bridge for
Yeah.
night travelers.
Yeah.
I had to sleep on a carton. I mean, there was nothing to do.
Yeah.
I had to sell water to survive. Had to be a bus conductor to survive, and all of that. But here we are today.
Here we are today. Here we are today.
All to the glory of God. All to the glory of God.
I feel compelled to ask you this. Where in all of this would you say was there one turning point, one day, one moment that you knew this is it? I'm out of that life. I'm into the next. Was there one?
Yeah, there were a couple of moments that got me there. Most importantly, one of them was when I met Rod Parsley online. I mean, those times, I mean, there were no internet and all of that, so you have to go to a cafe, a cyber cafe, to be able to browse and. And then I stumbled on Rod Parsley. He was preaching on becoming the bridge for others to move from where they are to where they ought to be. And I at that point, I knew that I was the bridge because I experienced both parts of the world, coming from not from a very wealthy home, and then going down the drain. And then I understood that I need to be the bridge for people that are down there at the slum, people that have lost hope, people that don't even have a direction of where they're going to come to realization of who they are meant to be. So at that point, I discovered that now when people look at my logo, they ask, what's the meaning of your logo? So I have a logo that has the head of a lion and then a crown on it, and then my name. And then I said, this is a king. So most of my friends call me King Praise, some of them call me King. And then I needed to explain to them my purpose because my purpose is the kingship purpose. I'm going to spell it out for you. King is the letters for king. K is for kingdom. I is for institution. N is for nation. And G is for generation. I'm going to say that again. K is for kingdom. So I am a kingdom influencer. I'm a kingdom builder. I is for institution. I'm an institution builder. I'm an institution influencer. N is for nation. I'm a nation builder. I'm a nation influencer. And G is for generation. I'm a generational builder and a generational influence.
Wow. That's a huge, I don't want to say moniker, but that is a huge weight and responsibility that you're taking on yourself. But the one thing I do know about Africans that absolutely love their continent is they will work like crazy to try to make it better. You seem to have a plan, though. I think not everybody has a plan, but you seem to. So with the business that you do, it sounds like you also have programs and opportunities you work through. So talk to me about any projects and programs, things like that you've got going on right now.
Okay, we are starting. Okay, so down the line, I began to study about brands and building brands, helping people build their brands and all of that. So I discovered that most people do not understand what it means to build their brand. And then even the top executives do not understand that. So for me, it's a process. You have to start from somewhere to get to where it ought to be. Like one of the mentors usually say, it is not what you don't have that limits you, but what you have and you don't know how to use it. So I had to begin to study what I had. And I discovered that I love dressing, I love fashion. And then most importantly, there's a phrase that we've always heard. You dress to be addressed. How you dress is the way people are going to address you. All right. So I left and I said, and I listened to one of my mentors who said, you don't dress like a suspect and expect to be taken as a prospect.
I love that. That's priceless. That's wonderful.
You do not dress like a suspect and expect to be taken as a prospect.
Yeah. I'm writing that down, by the way. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I began. All right, so I began to study brands on how top executives have been living, how they get into a room and then command the room without even saying a word. And then for me, that's when I began the executive presence and personal branding journey. That is one initiative that I've been running for the past 5 to 7 years right now. And so I train CEOs, executive entrepreneurs, business people across the world on how to build their executive presence for impact. Because I understand that when you step into a place, the first thing people see is your appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah, they see your appearance before they get to hear you talk. So let me put it in a way that you get to understand. People would always look at the container before they taste the content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if the container is not presentable, there is no way they would want to partake of the content. So what I do is to help build the container and also build the content in turn, so that there is a correspondence between the container and the content. So you don't just look fabulous on the outside and then you have no content.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things I do. And then most importantly, the new initiative we are starting, I discovered that a lot of people go to school right now and then they study what their parents want them to study. They study what they don't even have passion for. So we started what we call the Africa Hub. The Africa Hub is an initiative to help people discover their boardroom. Boardroom in the sense that it's not the white collar job or the blue collar job. So your boardroom could be fashion. Your boardroom could be being a carpenter. Your boardroom could be being a makeup artist. Your boardroom could be music. Your boardroom could be acting. Your boardroom could be anything apart from the regular white or blue collar job. So we get into schools, universities, high schools, colleges, and then begin to talk to the students, ask them what their passion is, because we want to help them right now to start building their passion before they even get to the university. Build your passion right now so that when you get to the university, you actually know what you want to study. You study stuff that is in line with your passion.
I have a question.
So that
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I totally understand where you're coming from. I do a lot of mentoring, and I find that particularly in Africa, a lot of young people are studying really where their parents have directed them. And it might be in healthcare or something like that, but it's clear that it's not, gelling up with what that young person really perceive for themselves or what their talent is. Already evident talent is, and it's kind of frustrating, but I guess is it a cultural thing that's just what you do?
Yes, it is. It is. It is. It's a cultural thing because I'll give you an instance. There was a boy that he wanted to study music, but his father wanted him to study medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And his father kept saying, you have to be a doctor, you have to be a doctor. And he says, I do not have passion for this. And his father insisted that he must be a doctor. And he said, okay, no problem. So he went to school, studied medicine, did all the years,
Mm-hmm.
did the housemanship and all of that, came out, took the certificate to his father and gave it to his father, and then disappeared.
Wow.
So so we're trying to avoid such cases from happening,
Hmm.
because you can't force your child to become what you could not become.
Is that what it is? Or I always wonder, is it, somebody told me that it was just a status thing, that a lot of the families want that, the doctor or whatever title for their children, and it gives them some status.
Yeah, or a lawyer. You have to be a lawyer. You have to be a
Yeah,
banker. You have to be
yeah.
a doctor and all of that. Yes, it used to be the status thing, but right now it's. I mean, I
Hmm.
believe it's important that we allow the kids to study, to follow their passion and direct them. I mean, the Holy Book says, "Train up a child in the way he should go.
Hmm.
With that, he will not depart." The way the child should go, not the way you want the child to go.
Right. It
Yeah.
almost
So
sounds like yes, it's getting into schools and making sure the kids understand that, but it almost sounds like it's also getting to the parents and making sure the parents understand
yes,
that
yes,
you're
yes, because
creating a
yeah,
misery for yourself if you keep trying to put that on you may lose your child, because your child may not want to even be with you
definitely.
anymore if they can't, express themselves fully. I mean, that's a human being trait.
Hmm.
That's just, who we are. So how, tell me
Yeah.
what kind of schools and really where you're kind of going with this.
We do private schools, private secondary schools. I mean, there are a couple of private secondary schools in Nigeria, and then we are looking at pushing it also into other African countries. So we are expecting to, get funding for logistics and
Hmm.
hotels. Then we can start getting into other African countries, so we can do the same, because we believe that if it's working, just duplicate it. Whatever is working, just duplicate
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah, so
exactly.
we're trying to get into other African countries and then probably other countries
Yeah.
across the world to do same. So we don't get parents losing their children because of um, trying to get them to study what they want the
Hmm.
children to
Such a waste
study,
of
and then get
energy
it to
and
lose.
yeah, and
Yeah,
time
so,
and
so you don't
effort.
get to
Yeah.
yeah, so they don't get to also waste their time,
Mhm.
studying the course for 3 years and then they're not doing anything about it and all of that. For instance, I studied computer science, but today, hey, what am I doing? I'm doing management consulting. I'm doing conferences across the world. I'm doing trainings on
Yeah.
executive presence and all of that. So you see, it's different. So
Yeah.
we need to keep up with the times and how the universe is changing. Things perception are
Mhm.
changing. Everything's changing right now. So we need to also keep the children and the parents in that space and in that pace for them to get to understand that things are changing. So you need to change with the time.
Agreed. Talk to me a little bit about, some other projects you might be having that are coming up for the rest of this year. I know that I saw on LinkedIn where you mentioned something about a summit coming up that with trade involved. So tell us, let's segue from the greater good work that you're doing with the children into more of the business segment of the big pool that we were talking about in trade. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Okay. Okay. So Leaders Without Borders, that falls under the platform of Leaders Without Borders.
Mhm.
Now, Leaders Without Borders is an organization we started a couple of years back.
Mhm.
The sole aim for Leaders Without Borders was to build businesses across the world. Now, the essence was to gather businesses, see how we can improve leadership skills, entrepreneurship skills, while creating an environment for trade and investment
Mhm.
opportunity. It's also a networking center for businesses to connect globally, whilst encouraging global partnership and across borders, irrespective of which country that you're in. It's also a global initiative created to encourage a strong strategic, economic, and geopolitical partnership. So we're trying to get businesses across the world. Wherever you are, let's meet. Let's begin to talk business. It is easier for a CEO in America to be talking to a CEO in maybe Uganda or in Nigeria face to face and say, I want to do business with you.
Mhm.
When you're talking about the phone, it might be difficult to build trust. But when you sit face to face with them, there is this confidence. I mean, you'll be able to read their body language, you read the tone of words, their tone of voice, and all of that, and then understand, okay, this person is genuine. I can do business with this person. We're doing this because we know that over the years, people have been very skeptical about doing business with Africans because of the fraud, insincerity, and all of that. So we said, okay, Leaders Without Borders is going to bring everyone together. We are going to be the bridge. So you see, we are still going back to the bridge.
Everything
so
goes
we are
back
going
to
to be the bridge for, yes. So we are going to be the bridge between the investors and the businesses in a different part of the world and then Africa. So over the years, we've been having these conferences. Last year, we had the Leaders Without Borders annual conference in Dubai, in the UAE. And we had over 50 CEOs and over 100 participants from about 54 countries. And we had that in May. That was at the JW Marriott Marquis. We had that in May 2021. It was phenomenal. It was great. And then in September last year, we had the African Dubai Investment Business Summit, the first of its kind, hosted by Leaders Without Borders. And then it was also in collaboration with the Office of the Sheikh of Sharjah. A lot of people keep asking, how did you guys get to connect with the Sheikh of Sharjah and all of that? Well, I'll tell you the story. So while we're planning for the May event, we got connected. Usually we get into the city like 2 weeks to the event, and then begin to look at all the logistics, the planning, and make sure everything is intact for the event. And then we got connected to the office, the private office of the Sheikh of Sharjah, His Highness Sheikh Ahmed bin Faisal Al Qasimi, which is the third ruling family in the UAE. And then we began to talk about collaborations, and today we're doing stuff. And then we started the African Dubai Investment Business Summit and International Honors last year. It was great. It was phenomenal. We had a whole lot of people. We had about 250 guests from about 70 countries. We had about 50 CEOs in attendance. It was massive. I'm just thinking that was enough, but it got higher. It got higher because a lot of people wanted to be a part of it. And I said, okay, no problem. It's good to be a part of something that is growing, something that is has become a global brand. So it grew, and then this year we had the Leaders Without Borders annual leadership summit in London at the Droppers Hall, Tromerton Avenue in London, where we had the head of the Royal Guard to the Queen. He was the chief host. And then we had other mayors, other lords, member of parliaments that were there. And then just in a couple of weeks, we'll be hosting the second African Dubai Business and Investment Summit, still in the UAE. And this is going to be so great because right now we have people from across the world registering to attend. I mean, people have been calling, like, when is African Dubai going to happen again? We're like, just give us time. We're planning, we're working. And then, boom, we are here. Everyone is ready to come on board. So we have speakers coming in from the US, from the United States. We have speakers from London. We have speakers from Australia, from Canada. And then one of the things we do during the summit is we've created a deal room. Now, the deal room is where you have the businesses and the investors and the businesses connect. So we have people that want to pitch their business ideas to investors to get funding or to get financing for their project. They meet at the deal room. That's where all of the transaction takes place and all of that. But the main conference itself is a 2-day conference where you have panel discussion, we have keynote speakers coming to talk about business, how to do business in Africa and how to do business in the UAE, and how we need to collaborate and do business across borders. And then we have the honors, we have the honors, and then the deal room. Yeah, basically that.
That's a lot. I like the idea of the deal room. I imagine
Yeah.
that stays pretty busy. So are you still accepting participants, registrants for that event?
Yes, we are still. Yes, definitely. We are still accepting participants and registration for the African Dubai Business Summit. So it's open. It's still open for registration. The website is, you can go to the website and do that registration. www.lwbdevcenter. That is lwbdevcenter.org. I'm going to spell that again. lwbdevcenter.org. LWB Dev Center, Leaders Without Borders Dev Center. So
devcenter.org.
You can go
We're
there.
We're going to provide that with the
.org,
interview so that everybody can grab that. And the event dates are when?
The event dates are 17th and 18th of November. 17th and 18th of November.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good. So you've got some time to do that. Is there going to be a virtual component to that, or tell me how that works? If people can.
No, it's a physical
event.
Yes, it's a physical event because we're trying to maintain our content. I mean, we don't want it to just go out like that because a lot of people could do stuff with the content. So if you want to be a part of it, you can register, and then would send you details on how to be a part of that. We're also working on seeing how we can do paid virtual for people that cannot travel. So you can be in your location, you do your registration, do your payments, and then we'll send you a private link where you can watch the event.
I think that would be great, and or at least to be able to hear some of the speakers, to be able to virtual speakers. That would be great.
Definitely.
So that's fantastic.
We're working on that too.
Yeah, we will definitely get that out to our audience and our Frontrunners network and make sure that they know about it. I knew that would be, a hot topic for them. So we appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, I have one last question I always ask everybody. So who is it that you need to meet? Who is it that you need to meet to help you expand your impact? What types of people?
Well, for me right now, one person I would love to meet, truth be told, one person I would love to meet is Barack Obama. I want to meet Barack Obama.
You're like the second person that's told me that in the last 5 or 6 years. Yeah. Okay. Who else?
I want to meet Barack Obama. I want to meet there are a lot of people I want to meet. Types of people I want to meet.
Types of people.
I want to meet Tyler Perry. I want to understand his thought for his movies and how he thinks them through.
I'm not sure he knows the answer to that.
He should. I want to meet Bill Clinton.
Okay.
I want to meet Bill Clinton. Yeah.
All right. You've got big dreams.
And then, and then one more person I would love to meet is Warren Buffett.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a tough bird to get a hold of, although I did know his sister. So I'm not sure if she's still with us or not, but I met her. I interviewed her a long time ago on a show that I was doing. And she lived in the area where I am. Okay. And she's called the Sunshine Lady, but Warren gave her a lot of money to give away. And so she was very specific about how she wanted to give that away, but she was very down to earth and very outspoken to her own detriment sometimes. So, but
I can imagine that.
she was very smart about money, the way that Warren was smart about money. So they must have been raised right. But
Yeah.
interesting people for sure. So I would imagine, other than registrants, you're always open for partnerships and people who fall into the category of the types of people you want to work with, from the standpoint of branding and image work. And I noticed that you mentioned innovators, so I think those would be perfect types to engage with your business. Is that
Yes,
sound?
definitely, definitely. I'm open to partnership in doing what we're doing. We're very much open to partnership. Apart from the Leaders Without Borders project that we're doing, I also have personal projects that I'm doing. So we're open to partnership in whatever form it is.
Okay.
We can always support each other. That's the most important thing.
That is the most important thing. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it, Ambassador Praise, for your time with us today and all the good works that you're doing and how you're kind of connecting dots like we are at Frontrunners. I mean, most people know that that's what we're all about, is connecting people that will create some more impact, maybe expand what they're doing, create new impact, or at the very least, create some meaningful business that will impact others around the world. So thank you. And I'm going to say goodbye to everybody here who might be watching on YouTube. Why don't you go to www.frontrunnersinnovate.com. You'll get not only this interview, you'll get the links that we've talked about that will help you to register for the summit that he mentioned, and some other links that he'll provide for us that will give you some more information about him and a way to connect with him. That's important. You'll need to connect with him. So anyway, thank you very much again, all, and happy front running.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Mary.